Hi, I'm David Orozco. I'm passionate about nutrition, fitness, and food. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and along with my wife, Trisha, we own TD Wellness, a company dedicated to helping people live healthier lives. Today, thanks to Ingalls, I'm going to cook with you. I'm going to show you how to bring some nutritious and delicious meals to your kitchen table. Let's get started. Today we're starting out at Ingalls, getting the ingredients to make my spicy black bean sliders with guacamame. For a full list of all the ingredients, check out the shopping list underneath the video player. You can print a list and take it with you, or pull it up on your phone when you're at the store. Now let's get cooking. Alright, so we're going to make my spicy black bean sliders. I really like these. This is a great substitute from using beef. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the fluid out of the can of beans and then add this back in. Alright, so I just dumped beans into the colander. I washed them down a little bit with some water. You can do that for about 30 seconds. Remember, it takes out a little bit more of the sodium. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump only about half of the can into my bowl. And there is still a little fluid in it left into them. And I want that fluid there because that's going to help in the cooking process. So I'm just going to put this off on the side. And I am actually going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to take a nice big fork and I'm going to mash it with my fork and just simply mash it down with a fork. And then this is the hard work. Ironically, I like doing it this way because I like still getting a little bit of a bean into my bite of a slider or a burger. Some people want to get this down a little bit more into a mash, and that really is up to you if you want to go ahead and do that. So what I'm doing here is I'm smashing the black beans, and beans is a great alternative for protein. It doesn't have as much protein as beef, and it's not the complete 9 amino acids that beef will have, or a meat, but it is a good substitute for protein, and it's very lean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my cumin. I'm going to go ahead and add my salsa, and I really like adding a salsa. Now the salsa is really up to you. I like to add different kinds of salsa to try out the recipe a different way. I'm going to go ahead and take a few corn chips right now, and this is like my breadcrumbs. So I'm going to take these corn chips. This is probably the place where you're getting most of your fat from, believe it or not. That, and then when we cook them. And I leave them pretty coarse. I don't really crush them down too much. Get about a handful, a little bit more than that maybe. And I leave it like that, and then I start mixing it in. So I get the moisture from the salsa that also helps bind or bring together the chips. And the chips are really, like I said earlier, your breadcrumb. It's going to help bind it together. So another good thing about this is that when you put your sliders together, you end up getting a good little bite. I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of my beans, add them in. And I do not want to smash these beans that much. I'm going to blend them more than smash them. So nice and simple. So I've got a nice, easier to work with patty, so to speak. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my stove heated up. Get some nice heat going there. It's always good to start your stove and then add the oil versus having the oil in there. I'm going to add some grapeseed oil. One of the things that I like doing with the reason I like using grapeseed oil is because grapeseed oil has a high flash point, meaning that it doesn't smoke too smooth or too soon. So it's great for light pan sautés, and it's not as oily tasting as olive oil. So you get a good oil, and it's very, very healthy. It's high in monounsaturated fats. So it's a monounsaturated fat. Monounsaturated fats are good for raising your good cholesterol, lowering your bad cholesterol while not ruining your good cholesterol as well. So I got some patties here. I'm going to make them nice little sliders. Okay, so you got a slider that's about 3 to 4 inches long. You can make them a little thicker if you want, depending on their bun size, or you can make a little bit flatter, up to you. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on my guacamame. One of the things that I like about this recipe is that it doesn't use as much avocado, even though avocado is very healthy for you. So I'm going to take my avocados. These are nice and ripe. And you can tell when avocado is ripe, it's soft to the touch. It will indent a little bit, okay? So I made a nice semicircle. I twist, I open, there's my avocado. The way I get the pit out is I take my knife, pull it out, boom, done. So, not very difficult. Then there's several ways of cutting this up. You can slice it like this, 1, 2, few slices, and then cube it if you want. Take a spoon and get a nice bunch of cubes. What I'm going to do first is, in a food processor, I'm going to take some edamame, which is simply soybeans. I'm going to go ahead and put them in and cover that up. Now, how much you could chop this down is really up to you. You can get it really, really smooth if that's what you like. Guacamame, I like my beans, like my potatoes. I like a little bite to it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it relatively coarse, okay? And I'm going to let the mixing do the rest. So add that. I'm going to need to turn those patties over. Get those patties. Now don't be worried if they're a little smoky and they're a little bit done on one side. That's okay. They're a bean, so they're very soft in the center. All right, that looks great. Okay, take my guacamame, smash this down a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead at this point, add my red onions. Now red onions, you're going to have to be careful. You don't have to use that much. Red onions have a very pungent taste. I'm going to take my limes. I like using limes instead of lemon because it layers a nice flavor, but it doesn't have that lemon flavor to it. I like the lime flavor of foods versus lemon. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt. Okay, all right, smash that up. Now, I don't want to add all my ingredients all at once. I really want to get a few layers in. Really good. Go ahead and add my green peppers. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some tomatoes to this. And I like adding tomatoes, but if you want to get an extra bit of nutrition, a good idea is to add some red peppers. Now, my guacamame, of course, has the soy. Now, the reason I added the soy is to reduce the total amount of fat that I end up getting in this dish. All right, and about now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and try it. Let me see if what I'm doing is any good, what else I need to add to it. And this is key too. I'm going to bite it with a little bit of everything. All right, so we've got our plate all dished up. We've got our spicy black beans sliders. I've got it on a ciabatta roll, but you can use almost any bread. I like something a little bit thick. I like some small sandwiches. Remember, this is not like beef burgers or like any other kind of animal meat. When you bite into it, it is going to fall apart a little bit, so keep that in mind. So you may want to leave the toothpicks in there for a little bit. You could also garnish this or add some dressings to it. Now, the typical mayonnaise or ketchup is still fine. You know, again, you've got something a lot healthier, so you could also add cheese to this if you like to, One of the things that I like to do is I like to add a little bit of Greek yogurt on this, so it gives it that nice little tanginess. It gives it that sour cream without all that saturated fat, and it goes well with the spiciness of the slider. It kind of cools it down a little bit. And then of course with a guacamame you could also add some jalapenos to it too to give it a little bit of a kick as well. So really delicious plate here, a little bit less fat total calories, really cuts down quite a bit. You can add some chips to it too, again as a little bit of extra to dip into the guacamole, or you can actually take a guacamame and put that into your slider. So very delicious and healthy food meal, so enjoy. We're out of time today, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here at the Ingles table. Remember, you can find this recipe, videos, photos, and more on the website at ingles-markets.com. Until next time, I'll see you online.